Battlefield Hardline 2. Now, this is something that a lot of people have been wondering whether it'll come out. A lot of people have wondered when it'll come out, when the next Visceral Battlefield game will be. I'm kind of going to be overgoing the information that we have about Battlefield Hardline 2 or a potential future game from Visceral that has a Battlefield title in it. So pretty much the next Battlefield game isn't coming out until 2018. This is confirmed because they've said we're not getting another Battlefield game until 2018, and they also said that Battlefield 1 is going to have a 2-year DLC cycle, so we're going to be getting the DLCs over the next 2 years, and this basically is how Battlefield games were before Battlefield Hardline came out. They were on a 2-year launch cycle. Then Battlefield Hardline did come out and kind of mess this up just a little bit in a good way. But Visceral right now is working on an open world Star Wars Battlefront game. So considering they have a relatively small developer team, they will definitely not have the resources to be working on a Battlefield game right now. So the next potential time slot we have for a Visceral Battlefield game would be in 2019. So I know that seems like a long time from now, but think about it, Battlefield Hardline was launched like 2 years ago, so that is pretty crazy to think about it like that. But the next Battlefield game we're going to get is going to be from DICE, and they're going to, one, release the next Star Wars Battlefront in the fall, and then release the next Battlefield game in 2018. Now, as far as Battlefield Hardline 2 goes, I think that there is a possibility that we will get the game. So Battlefield Hardline didn't do too successful, but it also wasn't quite a flop like everyone claimed it to be. On PC, it was a flop. That's 100% true, and that's kind of where the stigma came from, that Battlefield Hardline was a flop, and that was because of the PC numbers. Now, pretty much 90% of the Battlefield YouTubers play on PC. I'm one of the few that is primarily a console person. I'm not saying I'm a big Battlefield YouTuber, but people like One Cheesy Mofo, and many channels that were console oriented really gained ground during Battlefield Hardline because they were the only ones that really covered the game in depth. I know Average Sniper gained ground in this. Many other YouTubers did simply because of Battlefield Hardline, because when the large audience that has a Battlefield game doesn't really have any YouTubers to go to, they will go out and seek smaller YouTubers. So just a quick comparison, Battlefield 4 sold 1.3 million copies on PC, whereas Hardline only sold 130,000. So it's like 1/10 of the copies, and when you only sell 130,000 games at launch, it's really hard to keep a player base. But on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they sold a combined like 3.5 million copies. And that's not even including old gen consoles. So they did sell around 5 million copies, which is still a pretty decent amount. I mean, I know it's maybe not what they're used to, but it was the first Hardline game in the series. I mean, that's what I feel like a lot of people didn't really take into account, is that they're launching basically a completely new branch off of the Battlefield series, and for it to sell this well was actually pretty good. Now, if they were to do a future Battlefield Hardline, I could see it being like Battlefield Hardline, sort of like a Cops and Robbers Mafia edition. That would be freaking sick. That was sort of in the speculation a lot, especially when the Criminal Activity DLC came out with the Tommy gun, that a future Hardline game might be set in like the 1930s Mafia era, which would be super sick. The only other issues with this is that in the Cops and Robbers setting, it's kind of hard to vary up the sort of era and get a huge difference in the gameplay style, because when it comes to World War I, World War II, and futuristic warfare, you can really play with the vehicles and stuff like that, whereas in Battlefield Hardline, the vehicles weren't a big focus, so it's kind of hard to play with those. But I think 4 years after launch, I'd honestly be fine if Hardline just almost had a reskin and it was just basically another game. Now, I could see Visceral making a Battlefield 1942 game or a World War II game, because I feel that DICE will either go modern or to the future in their next Battlefield, because Call of Duty is probably going to go to the past, and then once Call of Duty goes to the past, everyone's going to hate it. So I have a feeling that the next Battlefield game we're going to get will be future, and then Hardline or the Visceral developers could come in and do a World War II shooter, which would be really awesome. That's pretty much the information that we have. I know it was a really speculative video, but a lot of you have been asking me to talk about Hardline 2 and just do Hardline videos in general, so I just kind of want to give you my opinion on the Hardline 2 launch. Will it happen? Will it not? That's pretty much it. I'd say there's probably like a 20% chance of it happening, sadly, but there still is a 20% chance of it happening. And just because it doesn't happen in 2019 won't mean that it will never happen. We could maybe get it 6 years in the future or something like that, which would be pretty cool, and I'd be extremely hyped for that. If you guys did like the video, don't forget to drop a like down below. Really start a conversation in the comments about this. I want to hear what you guys have to think. But that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.